Samurai in Nippon. Samurai who ruled Siam.
In the royal palace of a man gripping a Japanese sword, commanded an army of 6,000 soldiers. The year 1630, just 2 years before the Edo shogunate completed its isolationist policy, in Southeast Asia, there were over 10,000 samurai fighting with Japanese swords. They abandoned their homeland and crossed the sea, risking their lives. Was there a reason, money, freedom, or something else?
But first, please subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. This helps the algorithm show you more videos perfectly suited to your interests.
Chapter 1. Historical Background.
The year 1600, the Battle of Sekigahara ended, and Tokugawa Ieyasu seized control of the nation. It was the beginning of a peaceful era that would last 260 years. However, peaceful Japan faced a serious problem: an estimated 500,000 warriors who had survived the Warring States period suddenly lost their jobs. In modern terms, this would be like 500,000 white-collar workers earning over $50,000 annually, suddenly being laid off all at once. The samurai profession couldn't exist without war. Most of them had no skills beyond swordsmanship and spearfighting. Their options were limited: return to their village as farmers, take day, labor jobs in cities, or become bandits. In fact, public safety in early Edo period was terrible. Records show that bandit gangs of former warriors ravaged the highways. However, some warriors chose a completely different path, crossing the sea to become mercenaries. The catalyst was the Red Seal ship trade, initiated by Tokugawa Ieyasu in 1604. This was a system where merchant ships carrying permits, called Red Seal certificates, issued by the shogunate, could freely trade with Southeast Asia. The Red Seal certificates bore the shogunate's official stamp, serving as identification for Japanese people overseas. Red Seal ships averaged 10 to 15 voyages annually. Each ship carried 100 to 300 people. Among them were not only merchants dealing in silk and ceramics, but many warriors selling their sword skills. They served as ship guards while seeking employment opportunities locally. The voyage was harsh. From Nagasaki to Siam, modern Thailand, took 40 to 50 days with favorable winds. If caught in storms, it could take months. The ship was cramped, fresh water became putrid, food ran out. Many lost teeth to scurvy and died of high fever, yet they still crossed the sea. Because beyond the ocean awaited wealth and status they could never obtain in Japan. Southeast Asia at that time was truly an age of turmoil. Portugal, Spain, the Netherlands, England, European powers advanced one after another, competing for spices and trade rights. Malacca, Manila, Batavia. Fortresses were built and cannons installed in various locations, and local kingdoms also needed strong military power to counter foreign forces. What they sought were the strongest warriors. The spotlight fell on Japanese warriors.
Chapter 2. The man named Yamada Nagamasa.
Yamada Nagamasa. Have you heard this name? He is known as the most successful mercenary samurai in Japanese history. However, the beginning of his life was far from glamorous. Nagamasa was born around 1590 in Suruga Province, present-day Shizuoka Prefecture. No detailed records remain of his father's name or family status. The only certainty is that he came from the lowest rank of the samurai class, or possibly peasant origins. Records indicate young Nagamasa worked as a palanquin bearer and stable hand. Palanquin bearer, manual labor carrying people of high status. Under the blazing summer sun, sweating while carrying heavy palanquins. Daily wage was about 1 show of rice. In modern terms, roughly $20 per day. But Nagamasa had a talent that no one could match: martial arts. No detailed records exist of where he learned swordsmanship, probably self-taught or learned at a local dojo, but his skill was genuine. Tradition holds he was praised as Yamada's sword flows like water. In 1612, at age 22, Nagamasa made a life-changing decision. He boarded a Red Seal ship bound for Siam, modern Thailand. Remaining in his homeland meant ending life as a palanquin bearer, so why not test his fortune across the sea? He must have thought after 40 days at sea, Nagamasa arrived in Ayutthaya. Ayutthaya at that time was Southeast Asia's largest international city. Population about 1 million. Europeans, Chinese, Indians, Persians, merchants gathered from around the world with over 40 languages spoken, and in this city, a Japanese town had already formed. At its peak, about 1,500 Japanese lived there. Most were warriors who had served Christian daimyo or ronin, From the defeated Western Army at Sekigahara, expelled from their homeland or choosing themselves, they started new lives in this foreign land. Nagamasa first began working as a mercenary in this Japanese town. His first job was guarding a trading post. Monthly salary 5 ryo in silver. In modern terms, about $2,500 monthly income, more than 10 times a palanquin bearer's wages. But Nagamasa's ambition didn't end there. His sword skills quickly earned him a reputation. One day, the trading post was attacked by bandits. Nagamasa allegedly cut down 5 bandits single-handedly. This heroic tale reached the Siamese king's ears in 1621. Nagamasa was appointed captain of the Japanese mercenary unit size about 800 men, annual salary 360 ryo in silver. In modern terms, $300,000 annual income. From palanquin bearer to elite military officer, a meteoric rise in just 9 years. According to records, Nagamasa was given the title Okya Senafimuk. This means commander who directs war elephants. Yes, the main force of the Siamese army at that time was the War Elephant Corps. Elephants 3 meters tall, 5 tons in weight. These giant animals were armored, weaponized, and deployed on battlefields. Nagamasa established tactics for controlling these war elephants. Applying Japanese cavalry tactics, he charged elephants in dense formation. The power was tremendous. In 1622, border conflict erupted between Siam and Cambodia. Nagamasa's Japanese unit was deployed to the front lines. Cambodian army 15,000 men, opposing Siamese army 8,000 men. They were outnumbered. But Nagamasa launched a night raid. 800 Japanese troops infiltrated the Cambodian camp under cover of darkness. They fired matchlocks in unison and charged into the confused enemy army. This surprise attack succeeded, and the Cambodian army collapsed. Siamese records state, the bravery of the Japanese warriors was like that of tigers. This victory spread Nagamasa's fame throughout Southeast Asia in 1625. Nagamasa was promoted again. Frachlang Minister of Finance. This was one of the highest civilian posts overseeing the kingdom's economy. From military to civilian officer, an exceptional promotion, and in 1628, Nagamasa finally obtained the title Phraya Senafimuk. This was high nobility, second only to royalty. Annual salary 1,200 ryo in silver. In modern terms, over 2 million annually, from palanquin, bearer to kingdom's supreme commander. In modern terms, like a day laborer, becoming vice president of a major corporation in just 16 years. This was truly a miracle. But behind this glory lay blood, sweat, and many sacrifices. Of the 800-man unit Nagamasa led, not one reportedly returned home.
Chapter 3. Reality of Japanese Mercenaries.
530-830. But Yamada Nagamasa was by no means an exception. Japanese mercenaries were scattered throughout Southeast Asia. Looking at 1620s records, the numbers are astonishing. Manila in the Philippines about 3,000, Hoi An in present-day Vietnam about 1,000, Phnom Penh in Cambodia about 800, Java in Indonesia about 500, Taiwan about 300 combined. An estimated 10,000 Japanese worked overseas as mercenaries. This represented 0.1% of Japan's total population of about 12 million at the time. In modern terms, like 120,000 Japanese working as mercenaries overseas. They were hired by local kings and merchants for security, escort, and participation in wars. Employers were diverse. Kingdom of Siam, Kingdom of Cambodia, Spanish Governor-General in Manila, Dutch East India Company in Batavia. Sometimes Japanese fought on opposing sides. Particularly high demand was for matchlock gun users. At that time, Japan was the world's largest matchlock gun owner. At the 1600 Battle of Sekigahara, an estimated 50,000 to 100,000 firearms were used. This equaled or exceeded the total holdings of all of Europe at that time. Japanese matchlock guns had several advantages over European models. First, loading speed. Skilled Japanese arquebusiers could fire 2 to 3 rounds per minute. This was 1.5 to 2 times faster than European soldiers. Furthermore, accuracy was higher. In the Warring States period, Japan had a standard of hitting target at 50 ken about 90 meters. This was about 20 meters longer range than European matchlocks of the time, and Japanese warriors were also strong in hand-to-hand combat. The sharpness of Japanese swords and sword techniques. These were feared in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asian kings desperately wanted these Japanese-style gun corps. They recruited Japanese mercenaries with exceptional conditions. Employment terms were surprisingly good. Monthly salary 30 to 50 RIO in silver. In modern terms, $15,000 to $25,000 monthly income. This was 5 to 10 times a Japanese warrior's stipend. Furthermore, there were additional rewards for military achievements. Defeating an enemy general 100 Rio in silver. Capturing a castle 300 Rio in silver. In modern terms, bonuses of $50,000 to $150,000, and with long-term contracts, land and slaves were granted. Some mercenaries married into local wealthy families and became nobility. Siamese records even state Japanese warriors married princesses, but behind those rewards lay tremendous danger. Mercenary work meant selling one's life. In 1619, war erupted on Java Island in Batavia, present-day Jakarta, between the Dutch East India Company and the local Banten Sultanate. This was a fight over spice trade. Rights records remain of about 300 Japanese mercenaries hired by Banten Sultanate participating in this battle. Most were reportedly Ronin from Kyushu. Dutch East India Company records state, August 27, 1619. The Japanese warriors charged our ramparts without fear of death. Their sword skills exceeded our bayonet techniques. But we had cannons. The battle lasted 3 days. The Japanese unit charged the Dutch ramparts 5 times, but before the cannons, they fell one after another. Ultimately, over half the Japanese mercenaries, about 180 men, died in this battle. Banten Sultanate was defeated, and the Dutch seized control of Java. Their bodies were buried in foreign soil. Japanese names were carved on gravestones. Hizen Province, Tanaka Rokurube. Satsuma Province, Yamashita Genpachi. Their families back home likely never knew their fate. Still, Japanese mercenaries continued crossing the sea because there existed freedom, wealth, and proof of having lived that they could never obtain in Japan.
Chapter 4. The Death of Yamada Nagamasa.
8:30 in 1130, 1630. Yamada Nagamasa's fate suddenly darkened. That spring, a political upheaval occurred in the Ayutthaya Kingdom. King Songtham, whom Nagamasa had served for 20 years, suddenly died of unknown illness. Age 64, records mention sudden fever and vomiting. Most modern historians view this as poisoning. After King Songtham's death, succession dispute erupted. The king had 3 sons, eldest Chetatharat, second Athitayawang, and third Sisin. But the one who seized actual power was the king's half-brother. Prince Prasat Thong. Prasat Thong was known as a cold-blooded strategist. Just 3 days after the king's death, he exiled all 3 princes and seized the throne himself. This was effectively a coup d'etat. Yamada Nagamasa had supported King Songtham's eldest son, Chetathirat. He tried to install Chetathirat by leading his 800-man Japanese unit. But this decision sealed Nagamasa's fate. New King Prasat Thong viewed Nagamasa as dangerous. A foreign military commander who could mobilize 6,000 soldiers, this was the greatest threat to the new kingship. But directly executing Nagamasa risked rebellion by Japanese mercenaries. The new king devised a cunning plan. He ordered Nagamasa's honorable transfer, promotion to governor of the southern port city of Nakhon Si Thammarat. This region was an important trade hub of the Siamese kingdom. Outwardly, it was a major promotion. In June 1630, Nagamasa left Ayutthaya. He headed to Nakhon Si Thammarat with about 200 close associates, 700 kilometers from the capital. A 10-day voyage by ship. Japanese town comrades tried to stop Nagamasa's departure. "This is a trap," they said. But Nagamasa wouldn't listen. "I must obey the king's command." He reportedly said this and boarded the ship. According to records, Nagamasa arrived in Nakhon Si Thammarat in late June. He entered the governor's office and began his duties. But just 2 weeks after arrival, Nagamasa fell to illness of unknown cause. Symptoms were severe abdominal pain and diarrhea, followed by high fever. Local physicians attempted treatment, but to no effect. Nagamasa's body weakened day by day. Modern historians estimate this was poisoning by arsenic. Arsenic was the most common poison in Southeast Asia at that time. Odorless and tasteless, it could be mixed into food and ingested without detection. Symptoms were severe abdominal pain and diarrhea, exactly matching Nagamasa's symptoms. Probably someone following new King Prasat Thong's secret orders poisoned Nagamasa's food. It may have been a close associate, or perhaps the cook. The truth remains in darkness. Early July 1630, Yamada Nagamasa breathed his last in Nakhon Si Thammarat, age 40. What did Nagamasa think in his final moments? Did he think of his home province of Suruga, or the Japanese town in Ayutthaya? From palanquin bearer to kingdom's supreme commander, then victim of power struggle, his life lasted just 40 years, but its intensity exceeded anyone's. Nagamasa's body was buried at a temple in Nakhon Si Thammarat. Inscriptions in Thai and Japanese were carved on the tomb. Here lies the brave Japanese warrior Yamada Nagamasa. After Nagamasa's death, Ayutthaya's Japanese town rapidly declined. New King Prasat Thong didn't trust Japanese mercenaries. He confiscated their weapons and dismissed them from military service. Many Japanese mercenaries lost their jobs and fell into poverty. Some migrated to other countries, but many chose to remain in Ayutthaya and live as merchants or craftsmen. And in 1632, the Sakoku Edict of Kane was issued in Japan. The shogunate completely prohibited Japanese people from traveling overseas. This ended new Japanese mercenaries going to Asia. In 1635, the shogunate further issued the Edict Prohibiting Return of Japanese Abroad. Japanese people overseas could never return to their homeland. The reason for this law was to prevent the influx of Christianity. But its victims were over 10,000 Japanese living overseas. How did the Japanese remaining in Ayutthaya live? Some assimilated locally and lived as Siamese. They married Thais, had children, and their descendants melted into Thai society. Modern Thailand reportedly still has families with Japanese ancestry, but many remained Japanese until the end. They spoke Japanese, maintained Japanese customs, and thinking of home, ended their lives in foreign lands. Their graves still remain in Ayutthaya today. On moss-covered gravestones, faded Japanese text is carved. Higo Province, Kato Saburube. Ki Province, Suzuki Jinbei, 7,000 kilometers from home. Who offers flowers to those sleeping in this land?
Chapter 5. Conclusion and Modern Times.
1130-1400 Mercenary Samurai. They barely appear on the main stage of Japanese history school. Textbooks mention Yamada Nagamasa's name in just a few lines. Early Edo period, a Japanese person active in Siam, that's all. Their story has been forgotten, but without them, Southeast Asian history might have changed. Japanese mercenaries transmitted military technology to local kingdoms. Matchlock gun manufacturing methods, group tactics, castle construction, even sword techniques, these technologies greatly contributed to strengthening the military power of later Southeast Asian nations. Particularly, matchlock gun manufacturing technology was important. Japanese blacksmith craftsmen taught the technique of mass-producing guns locally. Siamese records state, in the 1630s, 500 guns were manufactured annually in Ayutthaya. Many of these were produced under Japanese craftsmen's guidance. Also, Japanese town functioned as an important trade hub connecting Southeast Asia and Japan. Ceramics, silk, spices, silver, and information. This trade greatly enriched both regions' economies. In fact, from the 1610s to 1630s, trade value between Japan and Siam reportedly reached 30,000 kan, about 4.5 tons in silver equivalent annually. In modern terms, about $1 billion. This accounted for about 10% of Japan's total trade value at the time. In modern Thailand, the Japanese town ruins still remain as a tourist site. Within Ayutthaya Historical Park lies the ruins. There stands a statue of Yamada Nagamasa. His figure gripping a Japanese sword and gazing into the distance still fascinates many tourists. Reportedly, about 50,000 tourists visit this site annually. On the statue's pedestal, inscribed in Thai and Japanese, the brave Japanese warrior, Yamada Nagamasa. His soul still lives here. Some historians point out, if not for the isolationist policy, Japan might have become a protagonist of the age of exploration. In fact, early 1600s Japanese shipbuilding technology was world-class. Some Red Seal ships exceeded 500 tons displacement. This equaled or surpassed European merchant ships of the time. They had 3 to 5 masts, crew of 100 to 300, cruising range over 10,000 kilometers. Furthermore, Japan had excellent navigation techniques. Compass, astrolabe, nautical charts, these technologies were learned from Portugal and the Netherlands and further improved. Japanese sailors could read monsoon winds, utilize ocean currents, and accurately reach destinations. If the shogunate hadn't chosen isolationism, Japanese mercenaries might have advanced further west to India, Persia, Africa, and even Europe. Japanese trading posts might have stood in London or Paris. Japanese swords might have been used on European battlefields. There are no what-ifs in history. But we can imagine the shogunate chose isolationism, and Japan remained isolated from the world for over 200 years. During that time, Europe had its Industrial Revolution, America gained independence, and the world changed greatly. Japan was left behind from those changes. During that time, Japanese mercenaries remaining overseas ended their lives in foreign lands, thinking of home. Many of their descendants assimilated locally and forgot their Japanese identity. What did they leave behind? Perhaps it was the possibility of Japanese people crossing national borders, overcoming language barriers, overcoming cultural walls, succeeding in foreign cultures. Their figures ask us today, how far can you go? Modern Japanese people are once again going out into the world. Students abroad, business people, artists, athletes, many Japanese are active overseas. Perhaps the same blood that flowed in mercenary samurai 400 years ago flows in them. Courage to challenge, flexibility to accept different cultures, and tenacity to never give up. Yamada Nagamasa went from palanquin bearer to kingdom commander. In modern terms, like a day laborer becoming vice president of a major corporation. It seems impossible, but he accomplished it. Why could he do it? Because he didn't fear change. He didn't fear leaving his homeland. He didn't fear learning foreign cultures. He didn't fear taking on new challenges. We today are the same. AI is said to be taking jobs. Globalization is said to intensify competition. But these aren't things to fear. They're opportunities. 400 years ago, Yamada Nagamasa crossed the sea. What will we today cross? That depends on you.
ED
1400, 1500, about 400 years have passed since Yamada Nagamasa's death. The worldwide expansion of warriors he dreamed of was sealed by isolationism. But that dream still lives today. Modern Japanese people are once again going out into the world. The blood of samurai who crossed the sea may still flow within us.
History has been made by challengers. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Your one click becomes the power to create the next video. Also tell us in the comments which Sengoku warrior you want to know about next. Your request might become the next theme, Samurai Nippon, bringing samurai spirit to modern times. See you next time.